There they go, the clown and the two thugs.
You heard it here first on Juice's podcast.
Nice.
We're good.
Perfect.
Appreciate it.
So, I'm going to turn me down just a smidge. That's up. There we go. So, part one. First of all, I was just in awe of your story was just amazing. And I've already gotten feedback from folks that have listened to it and just like, wow, his story is like, it's awesome to listen to.
Oh, man.
And it was cool because somehow I didn't know you were an MP.
Yeah.
Somehow I didn't know.
Okay.
And I knew like we had talked at Planet Fitness and stuff like that. We had talked about like, I think I'd heard something about like the SRT thing. Mm. And so I was like, well, this guy's like special operations. Like, this guy's special.
I got you.
Which it's not far from, I would say.
It's a little bit different, but kind of. It's just a special section of the MP Corps.
Yeah. Yeah. But Dad was an MP.
Yep.
And so, hearing that from you, I was just like, dang, this is like,
yeah,
it's all interconnected. And I just,
dude.
It was meant to be. And then part 2 was meant to be. And we're here now.
Sure.
But thank you for telling your story.
Yeah, no
That
worries.
was awesome. I think a bunch of other people that will listen to it and have listened to it have enjoyed it and will enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring you on again. We talked a little bit about it in the first part. Kind of just touching on this local community stuff.
Right. And
I had mentioned that it's kind of we've lost touch and it's looked over. The feedback we give and kind of what we put up with in our local communities.
Right.
Like you're scrolling on social media or whatever, and you see these clips of whatever, and, you can't really do anything about someone in D.C. saying something. And you could to an extent, but like me sitting on the couch on the phone is not going to do nothing.
Right.
And if you're going to do something about it, then in my opinion, it starts where you're at.
True.
Where your home is.
Yeah, your backyard.
Your backyard.
Right.
And so, and when we had been talking, like, this is just a super interesting topic because it is overlooked. And, like, I want to go through kind of first of all, how did you get into, what made you go, okay, something needs to be done?
Sure.
And what can I do to oppose what is coming?
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to go in. I just want to go into like, what brought you to that, and what did it take you to get to the point where you are now? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like kind of maybe events that caused it or whatever. However, where you want to go.
Sure.
With that. But
yeah, man. It kind of fell together like kind of naturally. Honestly, yeah. It was cool. Like, so I got out in 2018, man, and I appreciate, again, having me on and just sharing my story. It was kind of therapeutic in a sense. Like, it's really cool to, like, how I spat all that stuff off my bio. Just so military of me because you're just used to doing that stuff, man. So it flows easy for me. But, yeah, I just wanted to set the premise.
Yeah.
Genuinely, just give the audience, viewers, a foundation. That way when we move into what we're about to move into, like, oh, this is why I am able to do this stuff. Kind of move the way I'm able to move, right? So, yeah, man, I got out, and then I'm hanging out, in the city that we're at right here, and my kids are going to school and stuff, so I'm kind of involved. I just kind of keep my head up on a swivel, like what's going on in schools and stuff, right? Just who's on the school board, blah, 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 right? I was bored at the time, too.
Yeah.
So I'm a dad, and I'm doing dad stuff. So, and then, COVID hit. I'm like, oh, man, this is wild. And so, COVID hit, and there was a bunch of riots and stuff going on in the country, And I was like, I got to do something, man. I'm going nuts, right? And so I'm fresh out, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna grab the flag, man. I'm gonna start running. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. I just grabbed the flag, man. Grabbed grabbed our country's flag, and just started running around Rolla with it. And I had a designated route. It's about 6.5 miles, and I'd run it twice, man. Get a good aerosol 12-mile in. And so I had my kit on, and I'd run around the town, man. And I can kind of tell that, people were honking their horn, and I was just feeling to the point where even if it was like me just getting my own moto off of it, whatever the case is, like just people gassing me up, but I was like, man, if there's even one person that sees me rolling like this and they get excited, like, okay, there's still hope. If this guy's pushing the flag, then that's kind of mission accomplished for me, right? So I got into that.
Yeah.
And then Phelps County Focus did a really good story on me, man. They did a really good story on me, of me, doing my route and stuff, and meeting the community, talking with the community, essentially just kind of like, veteran to community interaction.
Yeah.
Right. And then, I get to see like the streets too, so now I'm looking at like, dude, there's a lot of homelessness in here. Right. So like, what's going on? Like, I didn't see this, driving in my car, but now that I'm walking and running with the flag, I'm slowing down. I'm seeing some wild stuff in these alleyways, right? Yeah. And so I'm like, this is like from stuff where I was born and raised in like this inner city type stuff. Yeah. I was like, no. There's got to be something going on. So I'm like, now I'm starting to think transitioning from, okay, school board stuff to like, hey, what's going on? Who's on the city council? Like, I need to know what the atmosphere is like, right? And so, this is right at the time, too, where they did, like, just started implementing mask mandates through the ordinance through the city, right? Yeah. And so I was just like, hold on a second. We got riots. We got all this stuff going on in America. And then now you're telling me I have to, or else now you have an ordinance, like a law saying I have to wear a mask? Like, or what? And that was my question initially to the mayor when he implemented this ordinance, is like, or what? And his answer was, he wouldn't enforce it. It's just something he's doing. I was like, well, then why are you doing it? Yeah. What's the reason? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So essentially I found out that it just through any type of ordinances and laws of that nature, it's just through control and power, right? In my opinion. So I looked at it like that, right? So at that time, you had all this stuff going on. I'm like, okay, city council members, who are we looking? Why is this stuff happening in this city that I did not sign up for? Like, this was not the culture that I remember, seeing on a day-to-day. Like, this isn't the normal people here, right? So I looked at the city council, and then you're like, oh, wow, there's like 3 or 4 city council members that are like far left. Not like I'm a Democrat, like that kind of old school type of mentality. We're talking about these are individuals that claimed on their social media, in person, when you talk to them, that claim to be communist. Like, this is them claiming it, right? This isn't me calling them that. This is me calling. I don't call people names, right? This is them claiming that title. So you have to think there are elected officials. This is what blows my mind. Elected officials that are claiming to be communist, which is the most anti-American label you can have. Yeah. So it just blew my mind that was happening in America. Like, I was like, what is happening, dude? How did this happen? And then you look how it happens, right? And you're like, well, how many votes did they get in by? 16 votes? You mean it took 16 people to put this person in? So this person could have just ran and gathered like 5, 10 of his friends and say, hey, go vote. Yeah. And I'm in there. Yeah. So you're like, this is an issue, because what's happening is they're creating ordinances that are affecting everybody right now. Yeah. Like, at a large scale, businesses were like super, super impacted, man. Small businesses in this city was extremely, and they're still impacted. Oh, yeah. They are still currently impacted right now by current policies in this local. We're just talking local administration, guys. Yeah. This isn't something, you don't got to go to D.C. to find this kind of live action. This is in your own city. Oh, yeah. So the policies that are attempting to be created in the cities right now, especially the rural communities, are egregious, man. They're trying to get those same California, New York style, Chicago style, policies implemented within these smaller cities. So you just are kind of, if you're aware of that, then you can identify it easier, you know. But the first things first is learning who your city council members are, right? Because once you see that, then you're going to see the atmosphere of what your city is going to be projected, right?
Yeah.
To include your mayor, which at the end of the day, the mayor doesn't have a vote on policy, unless it's a tie or whatever the case is. I'd have to look more into that, but I'm sure that's how it works. But the mayor controls the agenda. He or she controls what is on the agenda to talk about. Like, and then if they're really good at controlling these agendas, they can manipulate a lot of these city council members.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and this isn't a stab at the city council members. It's just, you know, they know what they know. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all they know.
Yeah.
So if they're not putting in the extra work to, you know, look at the ordinances or look at code or look at law, state law, local law, you know, different procedures and policies that are supposed to be working, if they're not looking at that stuff and putting in the extra work, then it's just going to kind of run itself. Like, they just trust that it's working, right?
Yeah.
So whoever that person is in charge, which typically is the mayor of that city, they're going to be the ones, you know, running the show.
Yeah.
Like clockwork too. And so I just kind of stepped back and looked at that, right? Looked at the whole picture. Like, okay, we got a couple city council members that claim to be communist, right? I'm like, they have a law coming up that's mandating businesses to post that these ordinances exist. How does that affect small business? You know, the backbone of this country. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that affect? Because in all retrospect, that's the American dream. When people really look at it, you got to look at it like that. They were trying to affect people from being sovereign, independent from the 9 to 5. Right? Being able to produce your own income based off of a skill that you've acquired, goods and services. Like, that's the American dream, right? So they were attempting to abolish that, essentially, and they were effective. Unfortunately, too. So when I say they, it's just the opposition, anti-American, right? It was very anti-American what happened to small businesses. I don't care which way you look at it. That's just my opinion.
Absolutely.
So, I looked at that, and I'm like, okay. Looked at the personnel, and I'm like, how do we change this? Who's running, right? And I started meeting people, right? I'm the guy with the flag, right? I'm a patriot, right? So that's it. People see me that's a minimum. They just want to get to know me and talk to me based off that premise alone, right? And so I got approached by a couple individuals that wanted to run, and I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. And then initially, man, what happened before that was, and this is important, and I'm not going to say names just because, right? But there were a group of, when the COVID thing happened and popped off, man, there was a group of people in the community between small business owners. You have high level, like teachers, like in the administrative level, right? You had veterans, you had a bunch of people that, from all aspects, right, that simply saw this as government overreach and came together. Like, these are people that didn't all agree on the, you know, national politic scale, but they came together on some, like, hold on a second, the government should not tell us we have to do things or else. That's weird. And so we all came together and we met, like, frequently, like through social media. We would just set up these sites like, hey, we're meeting here to discuss this topic. And we came together and we put the right people, in my opinion, at the time, okay, and I mean this, at the time, we put the right people and replaced, if you look at the history, this made national news, by the way. Brawley swapped out I want to say out of the 9 city council members, 7 of them got swapped out. So it was a huge swap out. And this was done by the people, right? But what happened is that people got complacent. They said, oh, the mask, no longer an issue. Let's go back to our day-to-day.
Yeah.
Well, what they don't realize is there's so many other things that are happening right now, whether it be rezoning of the whole city. Like, that's wild, right? So that's something we might want to look at, right? There's this thing called the Board of Adjustments, okay? And this is something that I got to, you get to dig into a little bit when it comes to local politics. The Board of Adjustments, they're a group of individuals that are assigned by the mayor that if something doesn't get voted through the city council, the Board of Adjustments can override the city council. So essentially, you look at that as if this Board of Adjustments that's appointed by the mayor has the authority to override the city council based off of them. So who's really in control?
Yeah.
So that's wild, right? So you're like, hold on a second. No one voted these people in, right? These are appointed positions.
Yeah.
So why are they making decisions based on the American voter, the taxpayer? So this is just one example. All right. So yeah, that's how I kind of got involved. I kind of still, that's just in a nutshell, man, what was been, kind of pushed us in. I've done everything from putting petitions together to get people put on an actual special election ballot to get, put on the ballot and then essentially replaced, right? Because we would put somebody else on the ballot to replace them. They just couldn't get the votes. When I helped a city council member run for the first time, we were going against, okay, this is it. This is when I want to get projected out the most. And this is going to rub people the wrong way. It could not. It's whatever, right? But I keep it 100, right? So when I was running with this individual, it was the wildest thing how many enemies we created based off the premise that we just wanted people to be free. That's it. We wanted people to have the choice to do what they wanted for their own body type stuff, right? Like for their own autonomy, right? Like their own individual. And so like not being mandated by the government, dude.
Yeah.
Like so easily that was done. I was like, this is crazy. So I was like, all right, cool. So yeah, what we did, man, is we just kind of got together and we put these people in and based off of, the recalls. We would do recall votes, man. And I was good at that. I was good at door knocking. I was good at just talking to people. So in, certain wards, because the city's broken up and I think this city's broken up in like 6 or 7 wards, something like that. And so every ward has their own, elected official. And I want to say every ward has 2 elected officials. And so, yeah, man, every year I assist every 2 years, every 2 years I assist that individual and make sure that person is in place because it's intricate. And I mean this with the bottom of my heart. And she's just a straight, solid mom, American, conservative, period. There's nothing more than that. And she wants to keep those things. She's born and raised in the city. And so I get on board with that culture, with what she's on. This is her city, dude. She's born and raised here for like 6 generations, too. So, like, if anybody knows the culture here, like, it's probably her and her family, I would assume, right? Got passed down. So how she and her family are raised, that's how I want to raise my family. That's why I moved here.
Yeah.
Because it was projected to me the same.
Yeah.
And so it's rapidly kind of changing, and it's intentional because this is in my opinion, the last America, man. I mean, look at what's happening, and I look at it as a grand scheme of things at a national level, right? Like migration wise. So you just take 4 states. So you have 2 blue states, 2 red states. I'm trying to get too political, but just look at it in this retrospect. Yeah. You got Florida, Texas. Those would be your kind of red states, and then you got New York and California. Those are kind of your blue states. New York and California, are they increasing or decreasing in population? Decreasing. Texas and Florida, are they increasing or decreasing?
Increasing.
They're increasing. So what does that tell you? Their policy, right? That tells you the environment that they create in those environments, the people want to go in those places, right?
Yeah.
So I'm worried that those same policies are going to be affecting this area.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's changing in that retrospect. And then what? That's how you make you're mass migrating Americans for no reason, in my opinion, right? And so instead of migrating, how about you just put your boots in the ground, put your freaking training shoes in the ground, right? Identify the problem, and then go for it, make it happen. Put the, door knock when it comes to voting time. You know what I'm saying? Help these people if you truly believe in them. And I'm telling you this, for everybody that does vote and don't just blindly vote. Do your research, man.
Yeah.
You have to do your research, even on a local level, because it's not what these people are saying. It is what they are doing. And you can just look at their record. And I'm telling you, if you're in the area, in the Rolla Phelps County area, you're gonna see because I'm gonna have to bring it out to light. All you have to really essentially do is just ask each individual, what have you done during your term?
Yeah.
Just list off, please. I can promise you right now, out of all of the out of 90% of there's one, okay, two that I can count for that can list some tasks that they've accomplished. One for sure that has been crushing it.
Yeah.
Absolutely crushing it, creating policies, like just absolutely killing it for Rolla, man, just helping this community thrive and preserving some of the stuff that you and I kind of dig, right? And so the other individuals, if you ask them that question, they couldn't name you off one thing that they've personally done. Not like, oh, you helped vote on something. Okay, cool, you raised your hand. No, what policy did you help push? What policy did you initiate? Like, these are the questions I think the American people, and I know we're busy. I'm busy.
Yeah.
We're all busy, man. But because we're so busy, in my opinion, that opens us up for a lot of it just opens us up, man, for individuals to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Just to change the way we live, man. And so, yeah, I got involved in the local politics and then kind of just been in and out, right? I have a full-time job. I do stuff on the side. I'm a father, all that other stuff. But, I still have friends that are involved in the local politic realm. And, hey, what's going on? I tap in every once in a while and, hey, dude, we're not going to believe this. Like, what? This is what they're trying to do. I'm like, oh my God, no way, dude. So it's just one of those things where, I learned at a young, kind of just dipping my feet into the local politic realm. I was like, dude, these people will do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to stop
until
you lawyer up and sue them or threatening to sue them in a court of law. They will not stop, man. And so people just have to get smart on law. Honestly, know your constitutional rights, dude. Like, please, man. That's when we have Veterans Day, every Veterans Day, and it comes up, and you get those veterans out there, and they say, thank you for your service. And my reply is always, thank you for your support. I couldn't do this stuff unless you supported someone like me, man.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for holding it down. So me transitioning onto this side, I feel like I'm obligated as a civilian or a veteran, not putting on my combat boots anymore, but putting on my dress shoes, my Italians, you know what I mean, with the nice little tailored, express suit, get up on there and just let these people know, like, no, dude, this is what the new combat uniform looks like. I got to defend, our rights in this retrospect, which is actually kind of fun, man. Like, to go up there and tell these people, like, no, this is not right.
Yeah.
What you guys are doing is not cool. I see it. Like, you might have everybody, you don't have people up here yet.
Yeah.
But once they get wind of what you're doing, they're not going to be very happy at a mass scale.
Yeah.
And I think they're just really relying on America's complacency to thrive. I think they are. But what they're not understanding, and I'm just saying, when I say they, is just, the opposition, is that the American spirit is always been there, man. It's dormant, I will tell you. It's dormant, but it's always there. It's always there, man, and it's gifted. It's gifted to us. That spirit is gifted, man, and it reacts when it's time. No one's in control but one.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, right? We could all sit here and say, yeah, when it's time. No, dude. Like, no one knows when it's time, right? To react to certain things. Okay, so in my grand scheme of things is I just move the way, in my opinion, God wants me to, right? I keep it as, professional as possible when I talk to the opposition. When I say the opposition, like, these are anti-Americans, man. Like, these are people I'm not talking about people I don't agree with.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about. I can have a conversation with people I don't agree with. That's cool. I'm talking about people that will literally look me in my face and say, I hate America. But you live here and you're on the city council representing Americans. Like, help me understand this. You hate America so bad that you want to be in the American government for what? Oh, because you want to dismantle. You want to disrupt it. You want to be a poison to it. That's why. And so you just got to look at these people, and I will tell you this, man, the more Man, the closer we're getting to 2024 election, brother, I'll tell you, it's only gonna get wilder with these, especially even on a local politic realm, man. It's like who's who anymore. Like, yeah, you say you're this thing, but are you? Are you just saying that to get in? Like, now I got to look at your last 5 years. Like, what'd you do in the last 5 years? So that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of these politicians right now, man. And it's nothing. It's not a stab at nobody. I'm not. It's what it is. What it is. If you're the right person for the job, I will happily vote for you.
Yeah.
Like, why is that such a big secret all of a sudden, man? You know what I mean? Like, it's not that difficult, man. So, but yeah, on the local level, so that's what I've kind of noticed, man, is that not a lot of people are putting the work like they said they were going to. And it was that one mask thing. Like, yeah, the mask. We beat it. But it's like, oh, but you're allowing, I don't know, children to be exposed to pedophilia books in the public libraries, right? You're not creating any ordinances for children being exposed to drag queen shows here in Rolla on a taxpayer park.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. This isn't like a jab. This isn't a hate. I'm like, oh, we need to hate this. None of that. If you want to do your thing, do your thing, right? There's 18 and up places you can do your thing at.
Yeah.
Like there's never been an issue. Not once, bro. Not once has there been an issue. All of a sudden there's a big stink. Well, why is there a big stink? Well, it's because you're involving children.
Yeah.
That's the change. That's why there's a big stink, guys. You're involving children. Like, that's what these people are understanding. And it's not because we hate you. It's because we don't agree with what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's all it is, man. And if you can justify you showing these pictures and things to kids, then so be it. But you're just not going to try. You know why? Because it's embarrassing, and you should be embarrassed, in my opinion, right? You should be. It's gross. You're disgusting.
Yeah.
If I'm the one to tell you that, that's how I am. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm not going to change my beliefs. I think people that genuinely want to prey on children are disgusting individuals. I think people that think they can justify, putting these pictures in a public library to say it's educational, I think they're disgusting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the issues that we're dealing with on a local scale that I'm seeing bleeding in from the bigger cities, man.
Yeah.
Like, who would have thought? Who would have thought in Rolla, right? In this small community, that we would, in public libraries, we would be having these issues where, dude, these books, oh, bro, they're bad. Like, I wouldn't even look at them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a full-grown man. I've seen it, whatever. But I wouldn't, like, this wild, dude. This wild stuff that these kids are being exposed to. Like, no kid should be exposed to this, period. Not for educational purposes. No, nothing, dude. Like, if we can just create that baseline, then we're all good. That's how it used to be.
Yeah, what happened to sex ed where you had to go home and your parents had to fill out a slip to get sex ed in freaking 5th and 6th grade?
Right.
And like you had to have parents' permission. You didn't now I don't know if that's still I honestly don't even know if that's still a thing.
Dude, I worry about it. I mean, I stay plugged in as possible with my kids. I do. But then I'm also like, I'm not ignorant to the fact that things will slip through the cracks. But I mean, something like that. I mean, who knows, man?
Yeah.
Here's what I look at it. And this is just me as a parent, right? And this is another thing. If we're looking at youth, and this is a parent thing too, we're at work. We got to provide. So I'm doing 40 hours a week minimum to try and provide for my family. So it's my wife, right? So boom. So who gets the kids for 40 hours? Teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers get the kids. So what kind of teachers? I don't know. Well, that's a problem, right? Because it used to be, and this is just if you look at things back in like the 50s and just this aspect in the 50s, this is all I'm talking about, is when, the husband worked, wife stayed home, raised the kids type stuff, right? The reason that I thought that worked out so well and was so effective is because the husband and the wife had certain morals that they had for their family. Who better to teach these morals and spend all day with than the mom? Really, you're going to shed off the morals, right? And the good values that you want for your family.
Yeah.
All right? They're going to reflect off of, the kids will reflect off who they spend the most time with or what they spend the most time with. It's just, they're a product of their environment.
Yeah.
It's just what it is, man. So who better than the mom? In my opinion, truly, naturally, that's the most accurate assumption, right? So I look at it like that, and I'm like, well, what happened to that? You know what I'm saying? Like, Now we give that time to some other entity, whether it be a phone or whether it be a teacher or whether it be a mixture of a phone and teacher. You know what I'm saying? So I think there was a study I just recently looked at, and I mean, I try my best. I'm not a perfect parent. I work on it every day, man. So this isn't me preaching like, you parents, you should know better. No, I am working on it currently as well. But there's a study that says, on an average, parents spend like 1.5 to 2 hours a day with their children, and like engaged, not like you're in the same room with me. Like, that's wild, dude. So to me, how much influence do you have on your kid if you're only spending an hour with that child? And this is in good homes. This is like, you know what I'm saying? This isn't like in homes where they're broken and stuff like this. Is in really good homes, like on an average for a majority. Now, there are those cases where, of course, they have those, good structured homes where they hey guys, we need to make sure we spend time with each other, which is super healthy. Super healthy if you can just put all the technology to the side and just have conversations alone with your family.
Yeah.
Figure out where your weaknesses are. Figure out how to build each other up. Like, I think for a very long time, families get it twisted like they're in competition when in all reality they should be working together. Just promotes a better, healthier family, man, and an individual too. So, and then you kind of rub that off when you build your stuff too, right? So anyway, I just look at it like that, man. So in a nutshell, I know it kind of went off the rails a little bit there, but man, the local politics scheme, right? It's a thing. It's a real thing. That's, in my opinion, the way we get any type of ground back. As far as the conservative movement, guys, there are individuals that are claiming to be conservatives that are not conservatives.
Yeah.
You have to see what they're doing, not what they're saying. I don't care if they're a good family name, so it's their time to be, the mayor, or it's their time to be the county commissioner, or whatever the case is, right? Or the representative because of their name. Dude, we can't stop picking these politicians based off of their lineage and their name anymore, guys. We got to pick the best candidate. We have to look at the best person that's going to stand in front, when big government comes, because they are coming. Yeah. They're coming, bro. We know it's election year. This isn't a surprise. We ran this script before. I'm not trying to let's see, the whole conspiracy stuff. I don't even like using that word, but I'm not trying to hyperinflate or hypersensitive anybody, but let's just be honest, man. Like, there's a lot of wild stuff going on a national level. I try my best not to stay too involved, but until I have to be, in my opinion.
Yeah, until it starts rippling into your local, our local communities.
Correct. Yep. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And so, but the first line of defense, in my opinion, is at the county level. So, and that's what happened, and that's what I got to observe, right? So through COVID, I was kind of like, I looked at the whole operation, and I know I say operation. I'm not trying to sound like military too much about this, but I looked at the whole thing, the whole grand scheme of what happened, reactions to it, as far as what branches did what governments or branches did what. And so I looked at like the health department here on a local level, the county level, because every time I was trying to do something, I was getting pushback at the county level. They were always refer to me to the county health department. So I'm like, what the heck is up with the county health department, right? Like, and then you go to realize that is the power. So right there from Fed, comes straight down through state, and it starts right there at county. So whoever is in that seat, if they're not strong enough to stand up to these health department officials, that's where you get the lockdowns. That's where you get all these wild things that happen at our level. It's not, they want you to think it's a DC issue. It's not a DC issue, guys. It's not. It's right at your counties. You can stop it at your counties through your county commissioners. If you have strong county commissioners that believe in the United States Constitution, that's it. It doesn't have to get any political than that. Just believe in the Constitution. Is that too much to ask? Yeah. Like, that's what you swore. You rose your right hand to, right? And you swore an oath to the Constitution. Every elected official does that. So just do that. That's all we're asking. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nothing out of the norm. So anyway, that's what I'm kind of bringing a little bit to light, and just based off of my experience, what I've learned right through the process is just looking at the local level, what's affected, what they do, what's happening in our city. If it's happening in our city, I know it's happening in other cities.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I know this is happening in other cities, but I also know that there's an uprising in conservative grassroots movement. It's also happening in other cities too. So it's just one of those things that I think that it's going to be a thing where they're going to be relentless, man.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get complacent again. It's going to be something big again. It's going to be like, oh, we have to do this, and then we're going to have another, no, we can't do this.
Yeah.
And it's just going to, but in the meantime, so many of our freedoms they're getting inched from us. So every time these policies and these ordinances and all of these special powers get enacted, right? So the mayor had special powers through the whole COVID thing. Like, what else did the dude do? You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't have to go through council sometimes on some stuff, right? I'm not saying he did anything, but wouldn't that be a question? Like, I don't think people even would question that, right? So, and like I said, if it's happening here, I have to assume it's happening in other cities, right? And so, who is the mayor?
Yeah.
What is their background? What do they do? Just things like that. How does that play into being a mayor? Are you from here?
Yeah.
Like, do you have family members here? That can play a role too, man, because if you don't have any loyalties to the city, like, why would you care about it, right? Like, something as simple as that. So if you know that there's a mayor that came from, I don't know, like New York or something like that, right? And just moved here and then, took a really big executive job, right? And then end up being mayor of a city. It's like, why? Like, why would that individual need to be a mayor of a city that they have no lineage to and no loyalty to? It's just weird to me, man. So I think that's kind of what it is. I think I'm kind of in search for those individuals that just, they're from the city. They have loyalty. I think police officers should be police officers that also live in the city that they police. Like, that's a firm belief. You want to clear up a lot of stuff right now, man. That's one thing. That's one thing I would look at least. Let's entertain that, right? And this is just coming from probably law enforcement myself, man. You take more pride in when you know who it is.
Yeah.
When they know you, and you know their mom, and you know their grandma, because you grew up together, right? That kind of police officer within the neighborhood that at the end of the day, your patrol vehicle goes to your house that you're patrolling in that neighborhood. You patrol essentially your own neighborhoods, right? That means you're totally vested into that neighborhood, man, right? So, in my opinion, I know it's slim pickings right now because of a lot of things that happened, right, in 2020. But you want good quality police officers. That's kind of what we got to do, man. And this has just come from law enforcement on a federal level. I never did civilian law enforcement, right? But if I can look back and just kind of glimpse at the federal level, it's like, dude, you want good quality law enforcement officers? You just got to, one, pay them good.
Yeah.
Right? But they also have to be qualified.
Yeah.
You can't just pay officers a lot of money and just be like, okay, you're ready, you're a beat cop now. No, like, you're going through a lot of training, dude. You're going through a lot of training. You're going to be like on the job trained as well. Like, you're riding with a partner for a couple of years.
Yeah.
You need experience because that's the problem as well. Everybody knows that, man. But it's not just education that makes you successful. It's the experience, man. You have to know how to react in certain circumstances, man.
Yeah.
Like, and the only way you know is if you've been in them before. Like, that's the way it works for those types of, duties and assignments. But so I think that's an intricate part of getting good quality cops, man.
Yeah. Police
officers, they have to be able to, one, be vested in the neighborhood that they operate in. Pay them more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And absolutely offer better training as well.
100%.
That has to be accessible.
100%, man. 100%. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
What would it hurt?
What would it hurt? Exactly. Dude, we sent man, you see how much money we're sending overseas to these other countries, and here I am. I know I said we're talking about local stuff, but it does affect local.
Oh yeah,
it does, in my opinion, because I look at it in this grand scheme of things, right? We're sending these, hundreds and hundreds of trillions, right? And I'm saying trillions with a T,
literally
with a T, right? Tango. And so we're sending trillions of dollars, right? And I think someone did the math on it, and they were like, like it takes $20 million to cure homelessness in America. Like we could have cured it 8 times over.
Yeah.
Like, that's a wild number, right? Think about what that would have looked like.
Fix all the roads and all this stuff that we could take care of here.
The grid.
Wasted.
Like building up our infrastructure.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what are we doing? Like at a certain point, Americans got to sit back and be like, hold on a second. What the heck is going on, right? Like, seriously, what is going on? And I'm not trying to be like 1770, 1775 on this stuff, or, but I'm just also just like, I'm also not like ignorant to the fact that there's something off here, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this can't be the way it works.
That's where it has to start, though.
Yeah.
We've been in this, kind of in a cycle, to be completely honest. We see these things going on, and then we go home, and we converse with our families and friends and stuff, but it doesn't go anywhere after that.
Right.
Not saying that's not a good thing to, kind of reflect on what's going on around us and stuff.
Yep.
But there's no accountability anymore.
Right.
Back in like 1775, I mean, it's been a while since then, but when we first started running this country, you have someone that is representing what you want to go.
Yeah.
That person goes, and back then, your word meant something.
That's it.
It doesn't mean anything anymore.
That's it.
And so when you elect an official, you elect a politician to go do what you think is best for you and your self-interest and stuff, for your community and your family and all this stuff. You expect them to live that out. Mm-hmm. And back then, if they didn't do that, guess what?
Yeah.
They were out of there.
It was easy.
Who's next?
Right.
Who else can do this better than this guy did? He didn't stick to it.
Right.
Now it's like, I'm going to give free health care, and I'm going to pay off student loans, and I'm going to do all these things. And like now it's so glamorous to my generation, to the educated generation.
Yeah.
They say all these things, and they're like, oh, yeah, this sounds good. But it's not just that, but like it's these officials, they'll say what they're going to do, but they don't end up doing it.
Right.
And guess what? We don't do anything about it.
That's what it is. No consequences.
No consequences, no accountability.
Yep, you're right.
And we have the ability to, first of all, I don't think that it stops at local. We have the ability, as we the people have the ability to hold our officials accountable.
Right.
Because guess what? There's a lot more of us than there are of them.
100%, yeah.
And they work for us.
Right.
It says that in the freaking Constitution.
Yep.
The Bill of Rights.
Right.
The Declaration of Independence.
100%.
They work for us.
Yeah.
And we've lost it.
Yeah.
We've gotten complacent, like you've been talking about this whole time. And this is why I think local is detrimental.
Of course.
It starts here.
Yep.
And these local officials, you're looking at these local officials, like you were saying, like winning by 16 votes.
Yep.
People don't really, I wouldn't say they don't care.
Right.
But complacent.
Correct. It's just someone's gonna take care of it. I mean, I can sit here.
It's not as important.
It's not as important.
Like
priority-wise.
2020 or 2024, I'm going to go vote for the guy I want in office in D.C.
Sure.
But that's all I really care about.
Right.
And there's even those people that don't even do that.
Right.
And if they don't do that, they're not even voting local.
Definitely not.
And so there's miscommunication. There is a loss in, like, there's no importance in local communities anymore.
Correct.
I wouldn't say that like totally for everybody, but for the most part.
Yeah.
Not everybody really thinks it's that important, but it is. It's crazy important.
I would say it's probably the most important. And I say this, why I say this is because if everybody fixed, let's just look at this from the grand scheme of things too, is like everybody fixed their backyard, what does your neighborhood look like?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So if you just fix your local area, everybody focused up, fix your local, your city, the country can change. Because that's how it changes, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
You attack it from the micro level and up. And I say attack, and I don't mean it like in a violent way. I'm just saying like that's the course of action, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, dude, I got super involved with the politics on the local level here, and we started bringing and teaching classes, right, to show the general population like, hey, man, when it comes time to voting. Look at your candidates, right? And then not only look at them.
Don't go vote just to vote.
Right. Look at your candidates and then look who's endorsing them.
Yeah.
That's super important as well, right? And I mean that because there's a lot of laws that you can look at that how do I do this? Because, yeah. I just had to go through my memory. So if you see me pause, there's a lot of stuff. It's like, man, there's a lot of legal stuff involved with that one. So it's like maybe I shy away, right?
Yeah.
So, because there was a certain point, man, I was dropping subpoenas on people for just not performing election duties properly. Like, let's just say their sign was like endorsed by so and so, but it wasn't, right?
Yeah.
And I would look into that. So I would just be like, okay, it says, it says that they're endorsed by a PAC, or they're not endorsed by a PAC, or paid for by the candidate. So I would go and see, right? I'd check their finances, dude, because once you run for an official, you kind of open yourself up to the public, right? So I'm checking your stuff, not in a deceitful way, but that's the name of the game. Yeah. I want to know who you are if you're going to be involved in the community. That's all it is. You put yourself out there. It's nothing weird. I'm not doing anything illegal.
That's not weird at all.
Right?
There's people have put a stigma to that it is weird.
Right.
Because why should you?
Right.
Why not look into that kind of stuff?
Why
not go see what they've done in the last 5 years?
Yes.
Why not go see their history?
Yep.
There's no accountability.
And so man. So we would teach classes on that, and it was called. And we would get the state representative to come in from Jeff City, man. And she would host these classes, and the classes are so great. It's called Follow the Money. That's what the classes were. And she would pretty much essentially say, like, how to track candidates from the local level all the way to the state level and show exactly how they're being endorsed, who's endorsing them, all that stuff, man. And once you look at that kind of stuff, then you can kind of see a lot. From just that, you know what I mean? From that retrospect. I know that's a lot and it gets a little deep, but I've gotten that route before, man. Yeah. And then, when we did the big swap out in Rolla, and I say we, I played a really, really small part in that, guys. Like, this isn't nothing crazy. It was a large scale of local community individuals, man. Like, we're talking everywhere from small business owners to teachers to veterans to just a bunch of people got together, and we were just like, we got to figure out these petitions and stuff, right? And we just played our own roles in it. I mean, that was kind of how that worked. And so this course, taught at the local level how to identify that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And
just be like, okay, this person's saying that, their signs are paid for by the individual, but it's not. And so I have to teach them that that's illegal. Right, I'm going to sue you for $50. So that's how that worked, right? Yeah. So I was just kind of during campaign season, right? I would just go down the line and I would do checks and balance. And this is everybody. Everybody would get it. I don't even care. And I even told the person that I helped get in there, like, look, dude, you better be squared away.
Yeah.
Because I will get after you too. Like, you know what I'm saying? And she is, man. Golly. So she's like one of three, and I say she because now that narrows it down to who I'm talking about, which I don't care. I mean, she's on Real Talk Radio. She's on a national news. Like, Rolla is on the map because of this individual, man. She's holding it down, dude, and she's not afraid.
Yeah.
She is not afraid of these people, which that, Jax, and if you can look, if you get time, I know no one does, but look at these city council meetings, man. They're out of control. They're freaking out of control. I promise you they are. And you're just like, what circus Olay act is this, man?
Yeah.
And how do you control it, right? And what's going on here? What's the agenda? What is the agenda, right? And that's how you kind of like, well, I got to figure this out. I got to combat it, right? And so a lot of it, though, unfortunately, it comes down to just meeting people in a court of law, man.
Yeah.
For now, right? And that's where
it's gotten to.
It sucks, dude,
Yeah.
because you don't want to do that. I mean, but you don't also want to let people do the wrong thing, right? And break the law. The reason why you can take people to court is because they're breaking the law. And they will continue to do this until you stop them. And so that's what was told to me by one of my mentors, man. And some of us that, we're getting into this whole, like, how do we even look at the political scale of everything and try to combat it like that, regardless of what side of the aisle you fall on. This isn't a right or left thing. This is a right or wrong thing, right? I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. If you veer off the Constitution and you do wrong by the American people, we have a problem. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. That doesn't apply to me, right? Or people that I know, right? So, like, that's the biggest issue, I think, that the stigmatism is like, oh, if you're a constitutionalist, or if you believe in the Constitution, then that means you're a alt-right or a right-winger, whatever the case. No, dude. I mean, I'm just an American.
Yeah.
We all are. If you were born in this country, then you were gifted the right to be an American citizen, and you fall into the same category that I do, right? Same thing. You get the same privileges that I do. Nothing more, nothing less. I love that about this.
Yeah.
We're all on an equal playing field. Now, what separates you and I'm not saying you specifically, but it's just work ethic.
Yeah.
If I work really hard, then I'll get X, Y, and Z, right? And so that's why I like it so much. The process works for me, has and it probably will for a while, right? So, anyway, man, I don't want to lose that. So what am I doing to preserve it? Stuff like this, man.
Yeah.
Teaching my kids, hey, when you see something, say something. Like, you can't let these people, and I'm not just saying this because it is what it is, man, but there has to be some type of opposition. I don't go to these things and call them, X, Y, and Z names. I'm not disrespectful, but they're going to know I don't agree with them.
Yeah.
They're going to know that my morals and values don't coincide with theirs. And they're going to know that they're going to have to convince me otherwise. And if they can convince me, then I'm just going to be a pain in their butt because I'm not changing my mind. I'm not going to disrespect you, but I'm also not going to jump into your realm either. Right? So you do you, I do me. That's kind of how I operate. But for some of these city council individuals and, oh my God, the library board, man. I know we touched on this before, but and I just want to make a correction because I did remember saying this when I said the Attorney General Jay Ashcroft came through. It was the Secretary of the State, Jay Ashcroft. Okay.
Oh man.
So just a correction on that. I did misplace his title, but Secretary of State came, and he joined the library board, right? And like, you know what? I'm just gonna throw it on out there, man, because there's nothing legal on this all public information. I just need people to do their own research, though.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing, man. Look into this. It's so easy to check these people in real time. If you feel some type of way about something, and you're passionate, just say something about it. It's okay. Figure out how to articulate your words very, well, so you don't look crazy. And then just say how you feel.
Yeah.
But that's what this whole government's designed for. All these boards and school boards and all that stuff, they have time for the public to go up there and tell them about themselves. If no one's saying that they're wrong, then they're only going to assume that they're right. That's just the way it is, man. It sucks. But when Jay Ashcroft showed up, after that meeting, they started recording their meetings, right? So we do these things called Sunshine Law. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Sunshine Law. So the Sunshine Law is a request that any elected official, you subpoena their information. So let's say I want to know all the emails that were sent between you and X, right? So and I'll just write this whole law, and I'll just verbatim it, just take it right out of the Missouri statute, and just put in there and say, according to blah, 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 request so-and-so, I want to see the emails between you and you, between this date and this date. And you send it to them, right? And so they have to, by law, right, because they're elected officials, abide by that Sunshine Law Act, right? So sometimes, and here's the wild thing, okay, so you're like, okay, that's cool, right? It gives you transparency. But then you're like, well, hold on a second. I have to request information from the person that I'm requesting information from. And they are the ones that's going to give me that information. Do you think they're going to give me all the information?
No.
So there you go. And that's about 90% of the reasons. Like, I'll get my Sunshine Law request. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of dates missing. That's weird.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, how can they do that? Well, because Abel Delagarza is requesting them. I'm nobody. But if I subpoena you and I take you to court and my lawyer does a Sunshine Law request, then there cannot be any dates and stuff missing. So when I see dates and stuff like that missing from a Sunshine Law request, and this is just for people that want to do it, it's kind of cool, man. You can do it to any elected official. When you see dates and information that's, recanted or whatever the case is, and you're like, oh, obviously they're hiding something, well, that's when you just get a lawyer, right? And I know that sucks. Maybe you save some money. I have some deployment money still left over, so if I have to, I dip into that kind of stuff, but this is what I do it for, right? I'm not rich. I'm not some millionaire. Like, I work a 40-hour-a-week job just like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, this stuff does cost money, but it's worth it. Because you want to feel instant gratification is when these people give you that Sunshine Law and then they bullcrap you. Then you get a lawyer and they give you exactly what you want. And then they have to look at you in the face. And then you're like, yeah, thanks for playing, and now I know what you know type stuff. Now I know how dirty and corrupt you are, that kind of thing. So, and then you can attack other ways, like you just violated X, Y. That's why they're hiding, because they're violating the law.
Yeah.
Majority of these people, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to sound grim. I say do your own research, please. I beg you, like, check me. I want you to validate what I'm saying, please. If you have questions or anything like that about what I'm saying, I know there will. When this blows up, because it will, I'm fully confident that eventually this podcast that you got going on, dude, it's gonna be wild, brother. And so, I do. I really believe that this is the way we get it back, man. Or at least preserve it for our children, for us type of thinkers. And then I mentioned this in the first part one. Is like, dude, where do people like you and I go, bro? Like, if we can't go to places like rural America, the Bible Belt, where we can raise, our families with, husband, wife, kids, believe in Jesus, those kinds of things. If we can't go in rural America, where do we go? You know what I'm saying? This is it, guys. So that's where I'm at. I'm not perfect. I try my best with the resources that I have, man. But my biggest thing is just trying to bring awareness. That's what I wanted to do. And I know between part one and part two, man, there's a lot of information. And I hope that, man, it gets out to someone and they're just kind of interested. If anything, they're just interested enough to be like, I wonder what is going on in my library. Dude, go to the children's section in your library. I'm telling you right now, if it's here, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, dude, if it's here, it's everywhere, right? Wouldn't you assume that? Like, Raw is one of those. I'm okay. It's a little bit. 'Cause it's got a college with it, but dude, it's for the most part a rural community.
Yeah.
What's smaller than Rollo? St. James and these other communities, but it's like, check their libraries, dude. Like, what is happening in Middle America?
Yeah.
What's happening? Are we why are we allowing this? That's another question. And I'm not, and this is another thing too, is like, I try to say these things without coming off like I'm trying to big bro you or, dad people or nothing like that. But it's one of those things, man, when you're out there and you're in front of the city council members and it's starting to, slowly, progressively become more and more. But because I know there's more people that think like me, that just don't want to get up there. They don't want to get up there and get in front of these people. They don't know what to say. They have firm beliefs, but they just not. Most people are introverted when it comes to like good conservative is conservative people, right? They're kind of most part introvert people, right? That's not saying that they're like, you know, less or anything like that. It's just this type of people that they are, right? So they don't know how to make that first move and be defensive, right? Be actively defensive. So that's what I'm trying to get people to do is just learn how to be actively defensive. Like, there is nothing wrong with standing up at your local school board, right? Figuring out if there's people that are teaching our kids our future wild stuff, dude, we got to fix that.
Yeah.
We got to fix that, and the only way to fix it is going to the school board and telling them about themselves, right? And don't be scared about anything, man. If you really truly believe, if you walk fearless, then walk fearless, man. And that's what I try to get. Like, I explained that whole stuff in part 1, man, where I was talking about my foundational experiences and, you know, me just going through the kind of like, you know, I did it in a nutshell, man. I mean, obviously, you know, trying to put 10 years of wildness in a 2-hour block of instruction is wild, but you get it though, man. The amount of like, you know, the amount of fire and pressure that I got put through and put myself through. Sometimes, you know, voluntarily, sometimes involuntarily, right? Yeah. So, but I see that now as a blessing. Yeah. Because I can go up and just be like, dude, I'm not scared. Are you kidding me? I fought ISIS and the Taliban, bro. Like, I'm not worried about these city council members. Like, they don't, I'm not fearful when it comes to these people, man. Like, I'm not saying I look down on them or belittle them, but I don't look up at them either. Do you understand what I mean? Yep. Just because they're on the other side of the podium does not make them a greater human being than I. Yeah. Or anybody. Yeah. In that matter. So I look at it like that, dude. You came out of a woman, I came out of a woman. We're the same. So that's how I look at it. And especially if you're doing some wild stuff, if you're doing stuff that you're not supposed to be doing, then that makes it even easier for me to look at you differently, you know, as a non-professional, because they're not abiding by the code that they are supposed to be abiding by, right? So, yeah, man. America, dude. I love this country. I do. I mean, I'll probably do this stuff in and out until I can't do it anymore. But my wife and I mean, I lost a lot of time during 2020 and 2021 just trying to figure out the election stuff, you know. It felt like I was still in the military because I was doing the 40 hours a week, and then we were doing meetings, man, and dude, this is so funny. Dude, we were doing meetings in, like, random places, man. When I say meetings and I mean, like, a group of people within the county, right? Like, this is a lot of people, man. So we had to find bigger buildings to hold everybody. And so we would just do meetings in these random places, dude, all around the county, and just figure out what do we have to do to fix it, man. Yeah. So there is a way. There is a way to do it. We just got to get that fire. I seen what we're capable of. That was another beautiful thing too, man. I really got to sit and watch what Americans are capable of, and it didn't even take that much energy. It really didn't, man. That's the wildness of it. I know what we were capable of when I say the opposition, the anti-American weirdos, right? And I say weirdos nicely. I love you. I got nothing but love for you. You're just different. You just
just leave the kids alone.
Just leave the kids alone, dog. Those are the ones I'm talking about, right? So I don't have love for them. You know, just don't, bro. I mean, I'll figure that out when it's time. But for me, yeah, dude, those are the individuals that I'm starting to see this whole play to normalize that type of ideology, and just like, we got to stop that too. We got to stop the whole, like, you know, the environment of adult and kid sexuality. Yeah, we got to stop that. Yeah, we got to. I mean, there's enough adults in this world to be like, dude, this isn't right. Yeah, there's enough of us, man. Right? There's enough people that know that this isn't right. Yeah, I would like to think that, but
this agenda of, you know, subjecting our kids to things they ought not to be subjected to, and even ideas and just wild stuff that's been going on. It's propaganda. It is widely pushed. It is widely accessible. with technology, social media, and sometimes this is all the stuff you'll see in our commercials, in our sports, in everything. And a lot of people will get the idea that there's more of them than there are more of me. Mm-hmm. That is not, I don't think that's the truth. There's a lot more of us than there are of them.
For sure. But
with their platform that they've been given, it seems the opposite, but it's not true.
True.
And I want to encourage people that we're not small. We're made to. People make us feel small.
Right.
The government makes us feel small.
Sure.
Propaganda, social media makes us feel small. Yeah. We're not small when we're together.
Right.
And we've lost it.
Yeah. And not even just to like just a little bit of a build up on that too is like when I was going up to these city council meetings and school board meetings and I was presenting my case and I would look behind me and there was nobody behind me, dude. Right? Like zero. Right? So it was just me. I was just one guy complaining. Right? But I didn't care.
Yeah.
Because when I walked out of that thing, I felt so great, dude. Because at the end of the day, they knew I felt a certain way. Just me. Even if it's just me. So I was doing that, and I was feeling kind of empowered, honestly.
Yeah.
It was just me, but I was just like, okay, yeah.
And I would even say you left there, and they're like, we got to watch out for this guy.
100%. Dude, there was a lot of weird stuff that happened after the school board meeting, man. Especially, like, my kids' classes started getting moved. Not in a weird way, but it was like the same teachers that I was calling out. All of a sudden, my kid doesn't have those teachers anymore, right? So it made sense in the grand scheme of things. I can see that. But at the same time, it's like the right idea would have been to remove the teacher.
Yeah.
Probably. I would think that you don't want a communist teaching American history. That's just interesting, isn't it? Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
What kind of American history do you think he's teaching?
Not the
right. No, I just find that okay. So when I found that out, man, it just like I honestly couldn't sleep at night, and that's probably why it just drove me to the school board meeting.
Yeah.
I just could not sleep. It was eating me up that this type of event was allowed to happen to me.
Yeah.
To me, it was, man. So I was just like, hey, we gotta do something, brother. Like, you gotta do something, dude. Like, you can't be scared of these people. Like, what are they? Like, they put a suit and tie on. Like, you were fighting the Taliban, bro. Like, you're good. Go there and tell them what they're doing wrong, because obviously they don't know. They're grown professionals, but they're acting like they're kids because this is crazy, man. And so that's kind of where I was at with the whole thing, man. And there was a lot going on, dude. A lot of empowerment too, and people feel some type of way, but I don't care. I don't. I mean, I was looking out for the betterment of me and my family. That's all I was doing it for too. Especially during 2020 when the whole mask mandate came across, dude. Me and my family did not wear masks the whole time. The whole time, not because we're like, oh, we're not gonna do what you guys tell us. No, because we just didn't want to, and that was our right.
Yeah,
that was our right. Okay, so we flexed that right. Right, when the school was saying, when the government, because that's what the school was, right? The school is the government. They get their orders from the government. They get their funding from the government, so that's where they get their orders from. When the school was telling all these children to put on a mask, these children that had, and I'm not going into the science too much about it, but we can if you wanted to. But and this is common knowledge at this point, looking back at it, the children weren't dying of COVID-19. Young kids in high school were not dying of COVID-19 at a rapid scale. So they were never in danger. But they were the most strictest on those schools with you had to have, trace contacting. That was crazy, man. And I'm trying to the only reason I'm bringing this stuff up now is because the year we're currently in. I want to remind people of certain things that happened during this year, because if this were to get repeated, hopefully it would send off a little bit of a red flag era, right?
Yeah.
Like, hold on a second. Maybe we don't write this in like we used to. So, yeah, man, my children, I got them a medical exemption from a doctor, an MD that was doing medical exemptions, man, for masks. And they didn't have to wear it. They were the only kids in public school during that time that did not have to wear it, and they could not do anything about it because of HIPAA. They couldn't do anything about it, man. They couldn't ask why. Why did your kid, they can't ask why. You can't tell, don't have to disclose what, injuries my children have to prevent them from having this, right? So there is play for the American people.
Yeah.
They're going to play it the other side. They're going to try and take our freedoms because that's how you gain control. That's the only way to gain control is to remove freedom. It's as simple as that. That's the equation. That's the simple equation. You take away freedom to gain control. That's all they're doing. Every time you see something wild and it doesn't make any sense, that your spidey senses are tingling in America, just look into it. Ask questions. Start asking questions for the love. I'm serious, man. So many people blindly follow, authority. And I'm not saying this. There's only one authority I blindly follow, and that's just the way I'm going to roll for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So, but everything else, I question, man, because I'm supposed to. Like, I'm obligated to question everything else other than one, right?
Yeah.
That's just me, though. I'm only speaking for myself. So I roll like that, man. And when I have been rolling like that, things don't make sense like they used to, right? So, yeah, dude. That's how I am right here. I'm trying to hold it down to the best of my ability in the community, man. And I know it's going to be tough. I know it's going to get harder for people to continue to be put in these positions that mean good for the people, because so many times over and over, I mean, there are there are intricate positions that are being filled within communities that are affecting the culture that don't coincide with the general population of that community.
Yeah.
I see this on a grand scale of things. So just looking in that retrospect, and like we were talking about earlier, just that big migration of people, man, that are, they're bringing they're avoiding the states that are creating these policies that they are unable to live in.
Yeah.
So much that they leave, right? But then they leave to a state or a community and try to change those policies to the policies in which they currently just left. Now, if that's not insanity, I mean, that's not rational thinking to me.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not it's irrational, right? It's got to be. I mean, I just don't understand why that makes sense, other than you're doing it intentional. That's the only rational explanation I can come up with. And I've been rolling around this in my head for a couple years now. Why would someone with that type of ideology migrate, let's say from California to Texas, right? And then try and vote a whole bunch of far left leaning policies into a red leaning kind? Why would you do that? Like, I don't understand that theory. You're trying to intentionally infect a culture. So that's kind of where I'm trying to hold the ground at.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hold the ground right just there. Like, I see them coming. I see that ideology of, just everything I don't stand for, honestly.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. I'm not saying I hate you or anything like that because we don't agree. I'm just saying don't get down like that, man.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't get down when it comes to anything with the kids, man. So if these people are like, I mean, I don't know. At a certain point I got to call them from what they are.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you have the same common interest of a convicted, because this is what I used to do. I used to put people behind bars, right? That conducted in this realm of pedophilia, right? And I enjoyed putting these people behind bars. Like, nothing was more fulfilling than putting these animals behind bars where they never see light of day again, right? Until they meet their maker. That's the beauty.
Yeah.
And that sounds grim, but that's just who I am in that realm. I don't have zero sympathy for these kind of individuals, for convicted pedophiles, right? If you have something in common with these people, and you're able to say this in public, then I'm going to start treating you as such.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And I'm not trying to sound like this isn't violent. Pedophiles walk amongst us every single day. But you know what they don't do? They don't get called pedophiles in public. So guess what? I think I'm going to start public shaming again. Like, I know that sounds very... I know that sounds very grim and stuff, but dude, what's up, man? Like, at a certain point, these people just think they can get away with the wildest stuff, man. That's not cool to walk around openly saying the things that you're saying about children, man. Like, what's going on in society, dude? We got to fix this. We got to let these people know that what they're saying and doing is not okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what's happening. I think no one's saying it enough. There's no resistance. So they're under the assumption that it's normal. This is the new normal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway.
I want to say one thing. You had kind of talked about, like, transitioning from your combat boots to, like, your Italians to, like, a nice suit and tie in court and stuff. There is a quote in a movie in 13 Hours. You ever seen that movie?
Yes, I have. I couldn't tell you much about it, but I have seen that.
The Benghazi ordeal.
Oh, yeah.
They're on the rooftops, and the annex are defending and stuff, and they're, you know, kind of waiting on these guys to come back and start shooting at him again, and they're talking, and he's like, why do we keep doing this? And he said, well, warriors weren't trained to retire. And that reminds, like, your pursuit of just, like, trying to defend the American way of life just kind of continually remind me of that quote.
Wow.
And I wanted, like, when I hear that, I think of you.
That's cool, man.
And I hope, I know we do have more people like that, but maybe it's time that we call those people out.
Sure.
Like, grab arms.
Man.
Join arms, and let's, like, do it together.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I can talk to myself I can point a finger at myself for this too.
Sure.
And but it's got to start somewhere.
Has to. And
it starts here.
It does, man. It does. Yeah, I believe that, man. Yeah, the American spirit we're America for a reason, man. There's no other country like this, man. Right? I can't go to another country and I can't go to Brazil and become Brazilian.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works. I can't go to Spain and become, so I would just be an American visiting. People can come from all around the world, come to America and become an American, right? And so this country is different for a reason. And we're not perfect. Far from it.
Yeah.
I'm not here to preach. But, man, we're so young as a country, and we've accomplished so much. Don't let the downfall of some of the stuff that we've done as America, which I had no part to play, right? Like, just so we're aware of this, right? But just history-wise, right? Don't let the negative stuff affect what amazing things this country has done, right? Because we have done so much things for the world. I mean, seriously, for the world, man. So I have to believe that this is if this country was so crappy, why are we having millions of people flood?
Yeah, why come over?
Right, they're not going the other way, dude.
If it's so crappy, why not leave?
Right? Why are we being invaded? Right? If this country was so crappy, why are people coming over here by the droves, man? You know what I'm saying? So people are risking their lives to come here. Yeah. Illegally. Not even knowing if they're going to get in or not, right? Truly, essentially it's our law. It should be a law. It's our law that you have to go through the process to get into this country. So essentially they're just going off word of mouth to get here. And then, they're crossing the border illegally. But that's another thing that I think that is severely, and not to get too far into it, I know we're looking at time and stuff, but the border, man, and what that looks like. I think we are so out of touch with what's really happening, dude. I think there's some studies going on that's like independent studies too. And you can look these up, do your own research, but I want to say it's between 11 and 22 million people have reportedly came through, right? Since the last administration. Yeah. Okay, so that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people that can change the face.
And what about the people that tried and were sent back?
Sure. Think about that.
Yeah.
So you take away essentially positions from people that are trying to do it the right way, right? This isn't an anti-immigration speech that I'm speaking. I'm probably, think about it this way. I'm not my last name is very foreign, right? So it is what it is. But my thing is, I'm an American, man. I was born here, right? I love this country. I'll fight. I bleed. I'll do whatever for this country and for the American people. I will not stop. There's nothing that can stop me, man. It's what I was born to do. I feel like this is my purpose, right? Is to protect. Maybe it's for something else. I'm not sure. But I move how God wants me to move. I truly believe that. I am blindly following God. That's just the way I am right now. And it is what it is, man. So when you see me up in these podiums and stuff, chewing out the school boards and stuff on YouTube, dude, it's not me talking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just a lot of frustrated Americans talking, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of the body, the entity that it's going through. But yeah, man, it's fun. I tell you, you want to really feel fulfilled, go out there and rock it on the mic and let these people know, like, hey, you're not very effective at your job. You might want to retire or look at something else.
Yeah.
It's nothing personal. Like, there's been times where I'll engage these individuals on the school board or whatever, and I'm nice. I'm not a mean person, but I'm also about business. It's nothing personal. So if you can't complete the job or the duties assigned to you that you were voted to do, or if you're going off script, which I don't like, man, when people go off script, like crazy off script, and like put litter boxes in like schools, man. Like, what is happening, dude?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's another thing, dude. I have no issues talking about that stuff. I don't. I tell them to their face. I don't care. That's not normal. That's not normal for a child to think they're a dog.
Yeah.
We know this, right? Like, why are teachers subscribing to this? Help me understand that, because to me, that's a huge mental crisis we're having on our hands right now, bro. Like, all fun and games aside, if we want to get technical, like, dude, we shouldn't be allowing kids to assume that they're animals. Like, we don't allow our 70, 80-year-old grandpa to keep talking to a bush. Like, they're senile. Like, they have a mental problem, right? We don't encourage that. Yeah, grandpa, what's that bush saying to you? And like, no, grandpa needs medication. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, grandpa needs help.
Grandpa needs help, man. So, it's just one of those things, man. We don't encourage those things, and I'm starting to see those things being encouraged by adults, and it's disturbing.
Yeah.
It's like, adults are the guides for the next generation, man. Like, these kids are just sponges. They'll do what you tell them to do or act how you tell them to act, man. And right now, there's just an influence of wildness, in my opinion, especially in the public school systems. There are teachers, though. There are teachers I'm not trying to take back. There are teachers that are doing an exceptional job. They're doing everything that they can, man, with the resources that they have. Dude, teachers don't get paid enough. That's another thing, like law enforcement, in my opinion. You want to help, dude, education in America is laughable.
Yeah, it is.
Dude, it is laughable, brother. And I'm just saying this because, you've been into other countries and you see how their stuff works, right? Systems that they operate on. And then you look at the stats, too, in your own community. I want to say, like, God, Rolla was not very high on there, dude. And so, but they got this good gym, though, right? So it's like... You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to poop on them or nothing like that, but where's the priorities at, in my opinion? You know what I'm saying? Like, we can have a discussion about it. This isn't a right, wrong, or indifferent, but I think it's open for discussion, right?
Yeah.
At least, at a minimum. No pointing fingers. This isn't me pointing fingers, but like, we can genuinely have a discussion about why is the education rate so severely low in Rolla, but the funding is extremely high. So where's the money going to, right?
Yeah.
So, and why isn't it going to the education? Because essentially that's what we're paying taxes for, right? To educate our children, not to, look cool on the basketball court.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case is. Like, it's cool and everything, but it's like, what's the priority? We got to get back to what makes America grow, right? What makes America grow? Where are we getting innovation from? Where are we getting creativity from? Like, where are we getting all these, science and technology, the STEM field stuff, right? why aren't we learning about money in school? That's my big play. So right now too, and this is just my last, like, where I'm at in my life, right? Drawing back to current time. So I teach like a personal finance management course on Fort Leonard Wood to basic training privates on Saturdays, right? And it's just essentially like a budgeting, how to invest in a 401k, just things like keep you out of trouble, right? As a young soldier that's, getting a constant paycheck, right? And so I come to realize, like, man, this would have been so beneficial if we would have been teaching stuff like this to kids, like in high school. Like how to balance a checkbook. What is a checkbook? What's a credit card? What's credit? What's money? Where does money come from? How does money work?
Yeah.
Like these are genuine questions that I think we should have learned at a younger age, man, because I'll tell you, it was way too late in my lifetime. And this doesn't count for everybody, but at least for me, where I was like, hold on a second. What is money? Why do I feel poor and I'm making it? Where's it going? And what is taxes and all that good stuff, right? So the United States tax code, what is that? That's a beautiful thing, man. If you can really look into the United States tax code as a civilian, as an American, dude, what are we doing? You're sleeping on a lot of benefits. And I say this as not you as specifically you sitting across from me, but you as the average American.
Yeah.
There's a lot of benefits in the United States tax code, man. We are getting taxed at an alarming rate. You get tax your income. You get sales tax. You get gas tax. Dude, everything you do, you're getting taxed at, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how can you offset that kind of stuff is something that's kind of interesting in my opinion. And I think every American should kind of look into that because it's what we have afforded to us as a right. Yeah. And but that's the American dream, right? That's the kind of stuff that they don't want you to have that information.
Nope.
So, yeah, man. As far as all that stuff goes, local politics, man, I'm just still kind of in and out right now. We have a big election year this year, both nationally, and there's a couple seats locally, right, that are being brought up. Some of these seats, and I think I mentioned this off topic, some of these seats are unopposed. So whoever runs just gets in, man, right? They don't even have to worry about if they got enough votes or not. So that's scary.
Yeah.
Because that essentially means anybody can come in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you have any kind of moral, you can be, who knows, man. I'm not trying to put people in category. I'm trying to be a good person when I talk about this kind of stuff. But you could be a wolf dog or something like that and run for city council and, have litter
Still
boxes.
get in.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And so that's wild. We can't have that. Right. We got to have more checks and balances on our government. There's nothing, I'm not anti-government. Okay, I do believe in government. I believe in a small government. I believe in a less powerful government. I believe in a government that works for the people. And until we have that, I'm going to continue to fight. That's just the way it's going to be for me. And I tell, like, and you look at my YouTube videos, sometimes I tell this stuff all the time. I was like, look, I continue to fight. And the thing about me is I can operate off of minimal sleep, minimal food. I have energy when I don't want to. I do things when I don't want to. I can, I'm physically fit. I'm mentally tough. I'm a warrior. I'm a professional. I'm trained. I'm disciplined. And that's the stuff I tell these people to their face. And like, so when you choose me to be your opposition, just take that into consideration. So, and the opposition is just that, right? It's not ISIS for me. It's not Al Qaeda for me. It is those politicians and those elected officials that are not doing the right thing by the people that put them in there.
Yeah.
That's the opposition. So that's where I'm at, and I'll fight that at the local level. And, dude, I just hope that people get involved in that kind of stuff. Just get involved, man. Just check it out at least. Figure out what these people are about. What's the move? If you plan on raising a family in a city longer than 5 years, right, elections are 2 years locally. Every 2 years they swap out. So you're going to want to know what that's going to look like because that can genuinely affect your day-to-day operations, right? You're going to have a vast amount of homelessness in your city because a certain amount of elected officials want so what's happening in the city right now, right? one of the biggest controversial things right now is the mission. The mission. It's a homeless shelter, right? Essentially, and there's a I won't even say it's not an opposition. It's not a controversial thing. It's 90% of the business owners downtown do not want it, and the mission just does.
Yeah.
And the administration does. So you have the administration of the city wants this thing, and the non-for-profit wants this thing, but the people do not want this thing. So you would think it wouldn't last very long.
Yeah.
But it's thriving. Not only is it thriving, it's expanding. So how is this happening? When, there's petitions that's been signed by every single small business owner in this city to say that they do not want this in this city limits, because it is affecting their business. You are promoting, right, a safe haven for homeless people to come, which from outside the city. Now, mind you, this is what I want people to understand is there is not a place like this until you get to St. Louis or Springfield. So between there and then, this is it.
Yeah.
So we're absorbing a lot of outside population. We can't afford we don't have the resources for that. This is the red alarm that I'm trying to explain to people when it comes to that. I understand what the mission's intentions were. The initial intent, I'm with it. I'm a Christian. I understand it. But the reality is just this. We can't support outside entity personnel, which we're supporting an abundance of. If we were to only support community, we'd be good. We wouldn't even need the mission. You know why? Because we have more churches here. There's not one church in this community that would turn down someone if they needed help. I know that. I genuinely know that. If there's a member in the community, I know they won't turn them down. You know what I'm saying? So what is a mission even there for?
Yeah.
Why is it even here? Right? You have to ask yourself that stuff. And then you're like, it's a non-profit organization where the president of that organization makes more than $90,000 a year. What's going on, man? What's happening? Why is there so much drugs being pumped in? So if you know anything about law enforcement, if you know anything about living in inner cities, right? Which I was born and raised in an inner city, and I know law enforcement, so I'm only going off of my experience. And so a lot of these people that are homeless, they suffer from mental illness and drug addiction. That's a majority of them.
Yeah.
It's not your mom that's like on COVID-19 wrecked my small business. Now I'm out on the streets with my 2 children. That is not the case when it comes to homelessness in Rolla, Missouri. I'm not speaking for other places. I'm only speaking here. Majority of individuals you have that are homeless are drug addicted homelessness, displaced personnel, and mentally ill. That's it. That's it, man. That's 99.8%, right? So, what's the rehab look like for that? What programs does the mission have for these type of individuals, right? If the answer is none, then you're just bringing them here with no resources, no plan, and dumping them in the population during the day because they're not allowed to stay in the mission during certain hours. So if they come here at night or whatever the case, overnight, they're not allowed to stay overnight. So they come here during the day, hang out at the mission, and then at night they just get released into the city. I'm talking by the tens of thousands, man. There are homeless camps on Rolla property that people don't even know about. Me and my buddy, we've had drones flown over these camps in Rolla, dude. This isn't I'm not making this up, dude. This is wild. This is stuff. What would it look like if all of a sudden Rolla had an influx of 50,000 people over in 3 days? What would that look like? You know what I'm saying? Is it possible? 100% it's possible. Do you know how many people are coming over the border right now? Do you know how many people are laying dormant just in Rolla, in Phelps County, in these tent cities?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, right? And so law enforcement are overwhelmed because all they're doing is these petty stuff. They're dealing with all of these people that don't even live here, right? Homeowners, right? Rental properties are being destroyed.
Yep.
Copper being taken out of, buildings and stuff. So when people say the mission, right, is you're because I've dealt with this, man. I'm not anti-mission. I'm just, you look at the pros and cons, and if the cons outweigh the pros, it doesn't work. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
Right now, we're not helping enough people, especially none of these people are even from Rolla or even from Phelps County, right? So these people aren't even from here. So they're not even invested in this community. So we're going to help them and then what? Send them back to their community? What's that supposed to look like? So there's no plan.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. There's a lot of, bless their heart, they prey on the Christian heart, right? It's a good Christian thing, and I understand where they're coming from with this. I'm a Christian. I understand what they're saying. I feel it too. But at the same time, we have to be realistic and say, if that's the route we're going to do, why not send them to a church?
Yeah.
Why not send them to a church then, where they can get the ultimate healing? Wouldn't you agree with that? I can promise you this. You can get more healing from a church than you could at any mission. That's just my opinion. Now, here's the problem with that is that you're going to have people that are going to be held accountable now. Now, they might have to do things they don't want to do, like get clean or, do this. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Right now, we just have this, like, pseudo, I don't even know what it is, dude. It's a tax write-off, essentially, too. Because you can donate. These bigger businesses are donating to the mission, right, for a tax write-off. Tax season comes along. Guess what? I need to dump some money off, right, to make it look like, to offset my expenses. We all know how it works. So here's the mission. Boom. I'm going to give them, $50,000 I'm donating. There's $50,000 I can take off my deductions now. So they're winning in that retrospect. It's a non-for-profit, so there's no cap on how much you can donate to them, right? So we're dealing with that kind of stuff in the city. And that deals with politics big time, because those individuals, they have to be voted to get their business license and all that stuff, right? So they get involved with city council members. And then you ask, like, how's that? So you start asking questions. What city council members are involved with what? Then you find out, oh, this city council member's wife works for the mission. Well, why is that important? They can't be making any money, right? Couldn't be. Then you find out that they run Medicaid, right? So they run a Medicaid program. So look at it like that, and you're like, holy crap! There's a money scheme there.
Yep.
Essentially, you bring these people here, you apply them for Medicaid. Guess what? They go to these clinics in this area, and they help these clinics out because Medicaid is federally funded. So you get federal money now with Medicaid, or state money, right? So that's the play, man. And so you look at it like that. It's corrupt at that. That's just one level of corruption that I've seen, right? Where they do the whole Medicaid scheme. You bring the homelessness here, you apply for Medicaid, they have Medicaid now, and now they get their Narcan and and it's all Medicaid paid through Medicaid paid facilities. They just keep on expanding, right? If you notice these facilities in these smaller cities, they're getting bigger. These clinics. Why are clinics getting bigger? Well, they're getting bigger because they're more funded now, because of the influx of Medicaid patients. Who pays for Medicaid, though? People like you and I. Yep. They go to work every day, yep. Right? So it's a cycle I don't like it. I think it's a cycle that's only detrimental to our society, right? It's promoting laziness. It's promoting mediocrity. Absolutely. Right? Why are some having to put in the grind? I don't feel like going to work either, dude, but dang, I got to do it, right? I got to put my pants on. One, they got time. Sometimes I don't get them all in, but I make it happen, right? So, yeah, dude, that's just, that's kind of where I'm at, the grand retrospective things. I'm trying to fix what I can with what resources I have.
Yeah.
So, but.
Well, I'm excited. I'm glad that we've gotten to do this a second time. And there will eventually be another episode with Mr. Abel on the podcast eventually.
Man, that'd be sweet, dude. Yeah.
Man, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank
having
you so much,
on.
Man. I know I talk so much.
Heck
brother.
no,
I go on this rant. It's just so much information. I'm
Heck
I gotta get this stuff out there because it's a lot. But,
Heck no.
And there's still so much too.
Yeah.
There really is, man. But yeah, I do appreciate you having me on. I dig this whole setup. I can do this all day, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. So.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a camera up by the next time you come in. That's the next that's the next step.
That'd be cool, man. That's gonna be fun. Yeah. When that gets up and going, I definitely want it. You gotta get me back in here, man. We'll make it fun. We'll get another microphone in here too.
Yes.
Get 2 of them in here.
I want 4 in here.
Dude, yeah, that's the way it should be, right?
I want 4 in here.
Yeah. And that'd be a blast. Yeah. That would be a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, do like once a month, like a group, whatever. That'd be cool, man. Yeah. That's a cool vibe. I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well.
Yeah, man.
Again, it's been a pleasure and an honor, and we'll do it again.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, man. Appreciate your time. Always, man. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, dude.
Yeah.
Call it all.
Yeah.